Excerpts from an upcoming book indicate that Republicans are far more feckless against Donald Trump and holding him accountable than we even previously knew, which means this calls for another segment of the Beta Bus.
Beta! Beta! You are beta male.
So this forthcoming book by reporters over at the Times, Alex Burns and Jonathan Martin, indicates that Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell wanted to really they wanted to stick it to Donald Trump after January 6th when the Capitol riots took place. But then they ended up caving because they're incredibly weak and pathetic. So in the book, McCarthy says this: "I've had it with this guy," McCarthy told a group of Republican leaders as he vowed to push Trump to resign immediately.
Did you? Have you?
Right, I know. "What he did is unacceptable. Nobody can defend that, and nobody should defend it,"
Oops.
He told his leadership team. McCarthy said he would tell Trump that the impeachment resolution will pass, and it would be my recommendation that you should resign, even as he acknowledged that Trump was unlikely to follow the advice. And as for McConnell,
can't wait for this one.
McConnell expressed optimism that the Democrats are going to take care of the son of a bitch for us ahead of the impeachment in the House, according to the book.
Wow.
Though it would have required at least 17 Republican senators to convict Trump, McConnell told advisors that he expected a robust bipartisan vote for conviction and then a vote to ban Trump from holding office again, the book says. But clearly it didn't play out that way, and even though McConnell gave an impassioned speech against Trump after January 6th happened, he didn't vote to convict him.
Yeah, so there's a number of really interesting things that come out of this. So number one, I'm gonna start on what seems like a tangent, but I think it's really super interesting. I get back to the main topic in a second. McConnell apparently is overrated. Even we have overrated him. And so I'm going to adjust what I think of McConnell now. I'm not kidding. And this is what I mean. He thought the Democrats were strong enough to take care of Trump. Wow. I thought McConnell was way smarter than that. That was at the very end of the Trump administration. He had 4 years of Democrats tripping over their shoes and falling at Trump's feet. The Democrats are the weakest people you've ever met in your life, Democratic leadership. You thought they'd take care of Trump for you? Wow, it turns out McConnell doesn't know much about politics either.
Let's be fair. Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi do look pretty strong.
Oh yeah, they're just an intimidating group over there.
They're pumping iron.
Yeah.
They're swole.
And also, McConnell's supposed to be a great vote counter and all that stuff. You thought enough Republicans would break and join the Democrats in convicting Trump in the Senate. That's what McConnell initially thought? That's amazing. No, turns out he doesn't know much either, okay? Look, and remember, so now we get to the heart of the story, and first the non-surprising stuff. Look, a lot of politicians are not that bright. And courageous. A lot of people are shocked by the story. We thought these were strong leaders. Why? Why did you think that? No, remember, politicians overall are order takers. A donor tells them, gives them money and says, "Hey boy, go do this." And they go, "Yes, sir, absolutely, sir. I'll get it to you right away, sir," right? And so they're not paid to think. They're paid to do as they're told.
They're just puppets.
Yeah, that's their weak puppets. And so the Democrats are publicly weak. They lose on purpose. The Republicans appear to be strong, but actually it's the donors that are strong, that are bullying the entire system. And now Trump's a little bit of a different animal, right?
Yeah, and in this case, they were terrified of Trump. Let's just keep it real. I don't, if anything, corporate interests wanted Trump out because Trump leads to instability.
No, that's absolutely right. That's why when a strong man like Trump comes around, right? And I mean strong man not in actually being strong, he's pathetically weak. He's got thin skin. The minute you criticize him, he starts crying like a baby, etc. But politically, he's a bully, right?
Yep.
And so when a bully like that comes along, which by the way, that is fascism 101, all of the politicians, since they're trained to be weak by the corporate donors, instantly start caving in. So now we get to McCarthy and McConnell be like, oh, we are gonna take care of Trump. I can't believe this is outrageous. And then Trump goes, what'd you say? And McCarthy goes, oh, I'm so sorry. He went to Mar-a-Lago and started licking Donald Trump's boots. Like days after that. He's so weak. They're unbelievably pathetic. And mighty McConnell, the champion of corporate donors for decades in America, one of the most powerful politicians of my lifetime. And even mighty McConnell crumbled and was on his knees to Trump. Why? Oh no, it looks like he's more powerful with the voters than I am. So at the end of the day, he turned out to be politically, I mean, we always knew ethically and morally he was corrupt and broke and horrible. But it turns out politically, he's also bankrupt.
Now, of course, Kevin McCarthy denies all of this. He released a statement saying, his office released a statement saying it's totally false, not true. Listen, I totally believe this account, mostly because when it comes to these types of books, you gotta provide receipts before you get this stuff published, or else you're gonna deal with some serious lawsuits.
Yeah, the major, look, there's publishers on the right-wing side who are like, who cares about lawsuits?
Yeah, they'll publish anything.
Yeah, and they think they can make more money, blah, blah, blah. But for mainstream publishers, they ain't publishing if they think they're gonna get sued. So that's one piece of evidence. But there's another huge piece of evidence here, because remember, other Republicans heard Kevin McCarthy talking to Trump on the day of the riot when Kevin McCarthy thought his life was in danger. And those Republicans reported that McCarthy was irate and panicking and asking Trump for help, and clearly not, did not think January 6th was a good moment. He thought it was awful and was begging for help. And so he was definitely mad at Trump. So that is excellent evidence that this is true.
One final point I want to make about this, just a few more details about the story. So apparently Representatives Steve Scalise, the #2 Republican in the House, said it was time to consider a post-Trump Republican House. And also Representative Tom Emmer, the head of the National Republican Congressional Committee, suggested that Trump should be censured. And look, I mean, none of this stuff happened. At the end of the day, Republicans came to Trump's defense because you're right, Trump is successful in being a political bully and they don't want to be targeted by him. They know that the Republican electorate will come for them. So at the end of the day, they did exactly what Trump wanted them to do. And what has that led to? A man who is emboldened by his own lies, who keeps repeating his own lies, which is also translated to a Republican electorate that genuinely doesn't believe that Biden won the election fair and square. That is dangerous.
No, guys, it's super dangerous because this is how fascism starts. When there's an authoritarian leader who bullies everyone and the rest of the politicians are pathetically weak. So remember, they thought their lives were on the line on January 6th. They were barricaded in, they had heard and seen that the building was breached. The protesters and the rioters are chanting about hanging Mike Pence. So the Republicans are worried that they're going to be killed, okay? So on that day when their lives are on the line, they're like, oh, that's it, we're done with Trump. I can't believe he nearly murdered us. And just a short while later, because they're the weakest people in America, they're like, nope, back to whatever Trump says. He even at the risk of us being killed by his rioters, no, we give in. And that weakness invites fascism. He's tried to end democracy. His supporters chanted about murdering his own vice president, and nonetheless, Republicans have already caved into him. In fact, they caved into him within a week. So the Republican Party is not going to ever stand up to Donald Trump. And we already know the Democratic Party is pathetic in fighting Donald Trump. So God help us all. Right now, I got democracy as the underdog.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.